are we here today?
Okay, the purpose of us coming here today is to do demonstration video based on the laboratory aid of our hydrology course. The title for this experiment will be the measurement of the river. The measurement of the river using the buoy and salt water.
Can you brief us more about this experiment?
Okay, basically this experiment, what we are doing is to calculate the total runoff of a river, because in most of the time in hydrology, when we need to calculate the total runoff of a section of a river, we need to do measurements. Measurements can be carried out with various methods, and one of the methods is using buoy and salt water. Buoy basically is items that can float on the water that we can calculate the velocity of it when it's flowing through the river. The buoy that we're going to use in this experiment will be ping pong balls. You didn't listen to me just now. I said already, the objective of this experiment is to calculate and measure the total surface runoff of a particular section of the river.
The equipment that we're going to use in this experiment?
Okay, there are around 5 to 6 equipments that we need to use in this experiment. Okay, I should start with this one. This is measuring tape that we use to measure the distance that we are going to involve in this. The size of the river that we are going to evaluate to calculate in this experiment. Okay, next we have stopwatch. We have stopwatch to for time counting. Then we have ropes in order to set the starting zone and the ending point. Okay. Next we have staff gauge to measure the depth of the river. Then we have ping pong balls act as the buoy. Then we have salinity and conductivity meter to measure the salinity of the river. Then lastly we have salts that we need to dissolve and put it inside the river. Now I shall show you the procedure of the experiment. Firstly, the first step will be we need to choose a suitable location that we're going to carry out our experiment. Okay, as you can see, throughout the whole river, there are a few sections that we can choose to carry out our experiment. Like I say, the first part there is not as suitable as the flow rate of the runoff is not that stable. Okay? And then furthermore, the section there is not straight enough to measure the velocity, as it will create turbulence. Okay? We decided to take that section from the girl with green color shirt until the girl with the green strip shirt. That section will be good enough because it's straight and then the flow rate of the river is more stable. Okay, now we can proceed to the second step, which is measuring the length of the river that we are going to do our experiment. Okay, in this experiment we only will carry out do the calculation for 3 meters of the section of the river. Now we need to measure with measuring tape. Okay, as you can see, both of my members will be, their distance will be 3 meters from each other, so that this will be the section that we are going to carry out our experiment. Out by mixing distilled water with these salts, and then the concentration of salt added into the water should be known, and the volume of water that mixed with the salt should be known by using the digital weight. And this will be a part of mixing. And then, if possible, do 3 sets of the salt water, so that during the experiment you can carry out the experiment for 3 times in order to increase the accuracy of the data obtained. 2 ropes will be tied up at the starting point and the ending point in order to increase the accuracy of the experiment about the distance of the experiment section. As you can see, the ropes will be tied at both ends. For this side first, this will be the ending point of our experiment as water flow from the left to the right. We will come to a step of the measurement of the depth of the river. Okay, as you can see, my friend is using the staff gauge to measure the depth of the river. The measurement should be made behind the ropes, and then there should be no any artificial blocking materials in front of it, such as human legs or other things, in order to increase the accuracy of the measurements. And the measurements should be taken 3 times at the section, front part, then middle, and at last the end part of the river. Okay. Took the reading of the depth of the river at the end part. Now we come to the front part of the river. Okay, same procedure will be carried out here. 3 readings will be taken at the starting part, and the middle part, and the end part. Okay. The measurement of the depth of the river at the starting and the ending point should be carried out as much as at least 3 times in order to increase the accuracy of the data. The measurement of the velocity of the river, as we have the equipment with us already. What we need to use will be ping pong ball and stopwatch. Okay. And now we can start the experiment by putting the ping pong balls at the starting line and let it flow to the end point as the stopwatch is counting. Once it reaches the end point, stopwatch should be stopped counting. Time elapsed will be recorded down for further calculations of the velocity of the river. In this measurement, what we need to be careful of is members that inside the river, in order to increase the accuracy of the data, they are not supposed to block the flow of water by their legs. Hence, they should be not staying inside the water. None of their body parts should be staying inside the water. Hence, no blocking of the flow of the river will occur. This should be done at least 3 times or above to increase the accuracy of the data that we are going to get as the runoff, to get the balance of the velocity of the runoff of the river. We are going to measure the flow rate of the river. First of all, we need to measure the salinity of the river first at the starting point. Okay, measure using the salinity and conductivity meter. Okay, the readings will be taken at least 3 times to increase the accuracy as always. Okay, now after that we'll use the salt water that we have did earlier with known volume and the concentration of salt that we added in. Okay. Okay. Now she'll pour in the salt water. Before she pour in salt water for a while. Okay. At this step, what we are concerning about is the salinity at the end point. Okay. Once she pour in, the salt wash will start counting. Until the same time that we took for the ping pong balls to throw from starting point to ending point. And then once the time is on, you stop the salt wash and then check on the salinity at the end point to see what's the remaining salinity, the concentration of salt in this river. This is a brief explanation before we start carrying out our action. Okay, now action on. Salt water will be pouring in, then salt wash should be already started to count, and then time for just now the water flow should be 6 seconds. Okay, now 6 seconds already should be taking the reading at the end point. As always, her legs have to be behind the ending point to avoid any disturbance for the reading. Okay, now the reading is taken. Okay, the reading will be recorded, and then if possible, this step repeat at least 3 times as always, but it will be quite tough because you need to measure you need to have 3 sets of salt water with equal volume and concentration of salt at the same time. This will be the whole part of the experiment. The rest will be based on calculations and formulas. Thank you. You wouldn't believe that we did the experiment at the river there. Got people pass by this road, and then they made a call to European police and say that we are coming here to fish. My goodness! And then the police at last came here and asked us, "What are you all doing over here?" Then we say we are just carrying out an experiment. Then they say, "Oh, okay." Yeah, and he said got people complain that we are fishing at here. It shows how concerned of European people nowadays,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.